For an entire decade, I let fear drive. I didn't fully go for the promotions I know that I deserved. I walked away from love because I was scared of getting hurt. And I passed on adventures that I now only dream about. I was too terrified of the idea of failing, that I didn't even try. But eventually I learned that just staying stuck is the biggest failure of them all. And I want to share the one major lesson that finally set me free. Look, I didn't make this video to wallow in regret. I made it for you. Because if you're in your 20s or 30s right now, and you feel that same cold anxiety, that little voice whispering, it's just safer to stay put. I want to show you a different way. I'm going to share the 3 biggest lessons that a decade of fear has taught me. These are the things that I wish someone had just sat me down and told me. So maybe you don't have to learn the hard way. The best time to change your life was yesterday, but the second best time is today. The first lesson that fear taught me is that your comfort zone is just a beautifully decorated cage. It feels safe, feels predictable, but it's a prison that you're building for yourself, one safe decision at a time. My safe paycheck is starting to feel more like a consolation prize, a payment for just staying quiet. Soul just feels empty at times. I chose the path of least resistance, and I learned that it leads absolutely nowhere. I spent the past 11 years in the same job role, becoming an expert in a job that I didn't even like, all because of the failure that only existed in my head. And here's the lesson that finally punched me in the gut. Inaction is a choice. Playing it safe is its own kind of risk. By trying to avoid one big dramatic failure, I signed up for this slow, quiet failure of stagnation. The failure of never knowing what I was capable of. The real risk wasn't trying and failing. The real risk was never trying at all. Lesson number 2. The second place that fear wrecked my life was my relationships. I learned that being vulnerable was the actual problem. That opening your heart to someone was just giving them a weapon to hurt you with. So I started building walls. And honey, these walls were impressive. Some of them still are impressive. On the outside, I am social and friendly. I became what I like to call Smiling Sean. But on the inside, nobody, and I mean nobody, can truly get in. If I started to feel like a real spark with someone, something that could have actually been love, I would find a way to immediately kill it. Maybe not immediately, but definitely find a way to kill it over time. Self-sabotage. I'd get distant, I'd pick stupid fights, I'd convince myself that they were dead wrong over a tiny flaw. I would think to myself, if they actually loved me, then they would know that those actions would upset me. I had successfully avoided the pain of heartbreak. But in doing that, I had also completely blocked myself in from any chance of real joy, real connection, or real love. The lesson here is brutal but clear. A heart that is perfectly protected is also perfectly isolated. Vulnerability isn't a risk. It's the price of admission for a meaningful connection. The regret of a life without genuine connection is so much heavier than the pain of any heartbreak. If any of this is hitting home with you, if you feel like you're putting up those same walls, I just want you to know that you are not alone. We talk about a lot of this stuff on this channel, and if that sounds like something that you need, consider subscribing. We're all in this together. The third lesson, turning point. Now, this third lesson is the one that changed everything for me. It's what's finally breaking fear's grip on my life. It's a simple, crushing realization that staying stuck is the failure. I am now 31 Whoa. I am now 30 years old. I'm gonna be 31 in this May. And I'm still in the same state that I moved into when I was 19. I'm still working a job that does not excite me, with a personal life that's exciting as watching paint dry. I looked in the mirror one day and I didn't recognize the person that was staring back at me. My eyes looked tired, not even just tired, they looked defeated. And then I had this horrifying thought. My biggest fear was that my entire 20s was a failure. But as I stood there like a deer in the headlights, looking at my life, I realized I had already failed. I failed to build a career that I cared about. I failed to find a loving partner. I failed to have adventures, or see the world, or take any real risk. By being terrified of failing at things, I had failed to even try. My fear of a big dramatic flame out led me to a slow, silent decay. That was the real failure. It wasn't some hypothetical event in the future. It was my current reality. That realization was rock bottom, but it was also weirdly liberating, because if I had already failed, what was there left to be afraid of? The worst case scenario had already happened, and I was living it. That is when the shift happened. The fear didn't just go away. I'm still shaking, honey. But for the first time, it isn't the loudest voice in the room anymore. A new voice started to whisper, but what if I succeed? What if I learn something? What if this is how I grow? So I decided to do one thing that scares me. Just one. But the what ifs always held me back. What if I get lonely? What if it's not safe? This time, I didn't let those questions win. I focused on one single step. My heart was pounding when I clicked post on my first ever video. Every cell in my body was screaming for me to cancel it. But I didn't. Almost a year later, and I'm still posting. The first few uploads were honestly terrifying. I felt awkward and out of place, but I didn't run away. Forced myself to keep posting. I stumbled through some topics, and slowly something amazing happened. I started to enjoy the process. I learned that courage isn't about not being afraid. It's about acting even when you are. Courage is a muscle. You build it with small, consistent actions. Failure? It's not the final verdict. It's just feedback. It's just data, girl. Posting didn't just magically fix my life, but it did break the spell. It proved to me that I can still feel fear, but push forward anyway. It taught me that the opposite of failure isn't success. It's trying. The truth is, I don't get to outrun my fear. It's always going to be a passenger in the car. But for a decade, I let it have the steering wheel. It was skirting and screaming, honey. Now, I acknowledge that it's there, but it stays in the passenger seat. I'm the one who gets to decide where we're going. Yes, my 20s are over. I can't get that time back. But the character that I built, the resilience that I found when I finally decided to fight back. Now that right there, that's mine to keep. If you feel like you're behind, like you've wasted time, please hear me. You are not your past. Your journey is your own. There is no official timeline to follow. Have the power right now to make a new choice, to take one small step. So, I'll ask you this. What's one fear you are ready to face? Let me know in the comments down below. Let's start a conversation about supporting each other. And if you want to keep going on this journey of taking back control from fear, make sure that you hit subscribe and that bell notification. It's never too late to start living. It's never too late to start living the life that you are actually meant to live. Thank you all for watching and listening. My name is Sean, and I'm here to remind you that you got this, I got this. We got this. And I will talk to you all later. Bye, guys.